sound better.
What's up everybody, Submosis here with WO Production again, and today we're going to be looking at some of the best free synths that you can get your hands on right now. They're all going to be linked in the description, so make sure to follow the links after the video and drop a comment if you like what you see. Let's get into it. First up, we've got Titles Helm. Now, this kind of reminds me a bit of Serum in the kind of colour scheme that it has. And it basically works with, you have your audio units kind of up here, and then you have all your controllers and modulation things down here. Now you have oscillators, and in here you have these basic waveforms, kind of squares and saws and sines and triangles. You also have this mod capability, which basically lets the left oscillator modulate the phase of the right oscillator, and the right oscillator modulates the tone of the left oscillator. Which is a super cool feature, and it allows for some pretty gnarly things that you can do with the waveforms. You also have this filter here where you've got your 12 and 24 dB low pass all the way up to high pass using this cool kind of sweep, which can also be modulated with any of the LFOs or envelopes by simply pressing the spanner button and then just kind of dragging up or down what you want. So as you can see, now that we're in the modulation settings window, you can really modulate a hell of a lot of stuff in here. And it just allows you to have quite a few possibilities with what you want to do. Now I've made a little beat with it, kind of a dubstep thing, so we'll just run through it and I'll just talk you through some of the patches and kind of some of the features of the synth that I really liked, that really stood out to me. So this is actually one of my favourite things, this little sound here. And now the way that I got this sound was by using this stutter module, which is super cool because basically you have this resample setting and the frequency setting. So the resample sets the amount of time that you want to resample, so you can set that to eighth notes, half notes, etc, etc. And then the frequency here determines the rate at which that does resamples. And then if we increase it, it's super gnarly, and you can just create like the coolest textures with the synth, so I really like it and think it's a great feature that should actually be probably included on more synths, because I've never seen anything like this before. You then have a little formant bit here, which obviously when combined with the frequency can get super gnarly. You have a distortion sensor, you have a delay, and a reverb. Now up here you also have a feedback setting, and that's pretty much it for this synth. I could get more into the modulation settings down here, but to be honest, I mean, they kind of do what you'd normally find in most synthesizers, and it's pretty self-explanatory how you kind of control them, what you can do. So let's move on to the next one. So yeah, next up is Pendulate. Now this is a super weird synth, and it's made it onto this list just because it will really inspire creativity and a workflow that you might not normally use if you're using other styles of synthesizers. So let's quickly hop into the session and I'll just show you a little breakdown of the different elements and how it makes its random sounds. So I'll just quickly play the track. It's just a little thing I kind of threw together just to kind of show off the synth a little bit. So you can see that it does give you some kind of interesting kind of shapes to the sound, and something that actually you might struggle to get with some other synthesizers. So it's basically broken down into a few different areas. So we've got the double pendulum section here, the wave fader here, the low pass gate here. You got some kind of pitching and glide stuff down here, your attack, decay, sustain and release, an LFO, and your output. Now you can tell straight away that it's not laid out like a traditional synth, and nothing really looks familiar, but this is what we love about this synth, is that it just inspires you to think differently and also takes you back to that time when you first discovered synthesizers and you're just twisting knobs and you don't really know what the hell you're doing. So the double pendulum is basically just a random oscillator. It starts at a sine wave and then adds in harmonics and overtones, which is why it's called the chaos. So we've got the amount of chaos, the chaos shape, animate, sub 1 and sub 2. And now I'm just going to play it through and we'll just have a listen to how this changes the sound. I also just really like the kind of user interface of it, like all those weird shapes kind of put you in a bit of a hypnotic state with it. Which just adds a nice bit of distortion to the whole thing. And then you have a low pass gate, which is, again, it's just a low pass filter. You can really hear when the filter's opened up how much the pendulum oscillator kind of really messes with the sound and just gives you some cool stuff. This synth is perfect as well for resampling little bits of it, which I have done for this little demo. So you can see, super creative and super cool. Now, let's take a look at the next one we've got on our list. So next up is Reactor. Now, you can download the free player from Native Instruments website, and this gives you access to a massive user library, all pretty much free to download. Now, there's not enough time in this video or any videos to cover every single item that's on that page, but it's definitely worth going and checking out because you've got everything from oscillopes, things that display sound, to synthesizers, bass units, multi-band compressors, anything that you can build in Reactor, you can get from the Reactor user library. So let's dive in because we're going to be looking at Reactor blocks specifically today. So with the Reactor blocks library, you get some bass. You also get some soundscapes. And you also get some leads. So yeah, that was Reactor blocks, and that was only a very quick deep dive into it. If you want to learn more, then I suggest you definitely go and download it. Check out the user manuals because it's just endless possibilities with it. You can have a 10 oscillator super synth if you want. You can have crazy envelopes that modulate the oscillators, that oscillate the noise. It's crazy. You should just go and investigate it, and please let me know what you come up with. So just to finish off this little list, I just wanted to go over Towel Audio's Noisemaker. This is actually a synth which I downloaded a few years ago, and the whole Towel range is just phenomenal. It's absolutely amazing what you can get for them, and it's all free, and it just sounds amazing. They've got some emulations of some classic synths on there, and they've also got some audio effects such as choruses and, you know, filter units and all that kind of stuff. So let's dive in, let's have a little quick look at Noisemaker because it is definitely a very special synth. You can hear that when it starts it's just a nice big fat saw. Now I do have some effects running as well just to kind of grit up the sound a little bit. You have two oscillators. with the standard kind of controls on them. You can also FM modulate them. Which gets super gnarly. And then you also have a sub oscillator here, and you've got a ring mod, glide, voices, all that kind of lovely stuff. Now moving down into this synth 2 bit, you have the filter and the ADSR controls. A range of different filter options. It just has this like super fat analog sound to it as well. I don't quite know how they've done it, but it just sounds so cool. And now another cool feature is the envelope editor. So this, you set the destination, so we're going to set it to the filter. Let's just make sure that our filter's actually turned on, and we're going to put the filter onto a low pass just so we can hear it a bit better. And now let's have a little bit of fun with this. And then you can just reset it with that button. So super cool, kind of again that kind of serum kind of style of modulation. It would be cool obviously if it could modulate more than just one thing, but it is a free synth and actually it just sounds great, and it's also quite nice sometimes to be a bit simple with stuff and make it streamlined. And then just down here in the last section we have the controls. So these is just what your pitch bills are doing, your master kind of detune, noise, filter drive, your reverbs, and the chorus. And the chorus sounds so good. You know what, I'll also just turn off all the effects that we have running down here, just so we can actually hear what the chorus is doing. So that just about sums it up for this video. I hope you enjoyed some of these free synths, and I hope that you can take them and really use them in your own productions. Also drop a comment if there's any synths that you feel should have been included in this list. Until next time, take care.